Hi, I'm Ted. Welcome to another Schooly video, and today we're going to look at and install the Qwork battery monitor. We've had the bus up and running for a couple years now and haven't really used a battery monitor. For the most part, we've been able to plug in when we need to. I think at one point we went a week without charging the battery, but we use it pretty sparingly anyway. Lights here and there, and run the pump, and that's it. You don't really watch TV or have air conditioning or things like that, so it's not a big deal. However, again, as we're going to be doing some more traveling over the next year or so, we know probably, especially in the fall, we won't be able to plug in. We'll kind of be boondocking a little bit more, and we do have a generator. We'll do a video on that in a little bit. But we're going to need to know when to plug in and charge, make sure we know when to turn on the generator. It's bad to drain the batteries down too much. Again, a little bit of research shows that the statistic, if you drain the battery down 80%, then you only get about 200 cycles of it, whereas if you drain it to 50%, at the most you could get up to 700 cycles of charge. So I like that idea better, and so I want to make sure I take care of the battery, and so looked at some battery monitors. So kind of looked through the gamut of them. The Victron, obviously the grand big poobah of them, at $206, and our system's pretty simple. I didn't think that I really wanted to spend $200 on a battery monitor. And then coming down a little bit, I looked also at the Renogy, which also looked pretty good. Had a bunch of features, had an alarm if the battery started getting low. But even then I thought, for what we have, I'm not sure if we really need that. And so this Qwork is called, but I think that Ailey is actually, I don't know if I'm pronouncing them right. Looks to be the exact same monitor, and this was like $45, and that looked pretty good. The other ones, the $15, $20 ones, the reviews said they weren't really that accurate, and they looked a little too cheap. So this is the one that I thought went well for us. Will go for us anyway. So let's take a look at setting it up, and then we'll install it. All right, so I have the directions here, which is, granted I'm 54 years old and my eyes aren't as good, but I can't read that, so I'm going to have to find something online because, yeah, that's impossible. That's impossible to read. I know, I guess it's a sign of getting old. So we have that, and then we have a shunt, and this is what actually, as far as I understand, measures the electrical current that goes through. This is actually a fairly big one. I got a big one, even though I don't really need it, but it wasn't that much money, so like 30 bucks or so. But it says here that it is a 500 amp. It seems like a ton. I probably should have specifically measured, but I know we don't draw that much power anyway. So we have an electrical cord here, the shielded wire, and this runs, I believe, from the battery to the actual meter. We'll get that out in a second. And then you actually have the meter monitor there. All right, so you guys know, kind of working in schooly electrical spaces, you're like doing gymnastics and kind of going like that and being upside down and all that other stuff. So I think a good strategy is going to be try to set it up here and see how that goes. Do a trial run before we start wrestling and crawling around under the bus. So I'm going to pull up some directions online that I can actually read, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, we've got assorted wires and equipment set up here, and I've got the directions pulled up on the laptop so I can actually see it, and I can blow it up a little bit. So I have a battery. Obviously that's a battery, just kind of test it out, and I hooked up, I got a battery cable. It's 4 gauge. They're hooked up to negative post, and I just hooked up some alligator clips so we can run a load. Here's one of the lights from the bus, and I got a couple power leads over here hooked up, and one of the leads is going to go into the shunt, and the other one's going to go, I hooked up to the light here just so we can sort of test it out to see if it works. All right, so says that we hook, there's a, I'll put close up a little bit and so you can see it, but there's a B and a P, and it says that the B end goes directly to the battery. So we'll put that on. Kind of prefer it to go the other way. My it's curved wrong. I want it to go this way. That would be better. Oh boy. These lugs are huge. I suppose if you get 500 amps, it's supposed to be. But not that I see myself putting 500 amps through this. Alright, and so it says, so the way electricity flows, it flows around through everything, and then all your negative load from your loads go to this lug, to the P1. And the way I did all of my negatives or my grounds through all the loads in the bus is I grounded everything to the chassis. So at every single light I had the power come in, but rather than run the negative leads all the way back to a bus bar in the electrical cabinet, I just grounded it or ran right to the bus frame. So all the lights go right to the ribs where the 12-volt water pump is. That goes right to the ribs right there. So that way I don't have a ton of wire going all the way back. So what I will do when I wire this in the bus is that I ran one ground from the chassis in the electrical closet, since everything was grounded to the chassis anyway, right to the negative post of the battery. So here, though, you're supposed to run, so instead of that, the loads will go to the P function here, and then off to the, and I have a bigger wire out in the outside when I actually wire this up. So then these two wires get hooked together. So this end goes into the top of that little harness right there. And this one goes into here. Like that. And then the power, it's a tiny little hole. It says it could be like 18 to 20 gauge. Oh, I lost it. And this gets wired into, I'll put that on afterwards. Hook this up first. There's these tiny little screws. Need my handy dandy micro screwdriver. And it lights up. So right now it says we've got, you got to program it. We've got 0.01110 amps coming through there. And then be interesting to see what happens when I plug this light in. So actually I didn't have that quite right before because I didn't have this connected. So the negative or the grounds from your load go into that, and that goes all loops around. So now it says we're drawing 5.826 amps. Seems like a lot for that light, actually, but. And then we have to actually program it to have to go in with the battery, but I'll program that once I actually get to the real battery. So recap. I've got a 4-gauge battery cable that runs from the B side lug into the negative side of the battery, and then power lead goes from the positive into this little green box on the shunt, and that just powers the gauge. And then the positive lead also runs to all your loads, and then all the loads together get grounded and returned back to the P side of the shunt. So that seems to be working all right. I'll start playing around with how to program this afterwards, but that's actually, I just wanted to figure out how it wired up first rather than wrestling around in the bus. So we will transition from the bus, we'll transition from the kitchen table to the bus and do it in real time with real stuff, but it's good to practice. Alright, so we've transitioned back out to the bus here, and we're going to work on installing what we tested there last night. One challenge, I decided that this, into the shunt, the power, that this has got to be like 20 gauge wire, I'm guessing, but it's tiny to try to fit it in there. And so, of course, the other end has to go over the battery terminal, which is bigger. So, I usually prefer like the soldering, which I think is a lot more secure, but I don't have any solder. These little, you know what these are called, these little rings will go over the battery terminal. So I'm going to crimp this on there, but it's such a small wire going into that big one. Oops, I lost my crimper. I didn't lose it, I know where it is. It's right here. But looks like a challenge to try to get the small wire to stick in this really big. I'm going to have to look for a better crimp solution, but I think for now, because I mean that's a relatively easy fix, but I want to get the rest of it installed. I'm going to tape that for now. Then we come back and find a solder connection to do that, which would be much more secure. So I cut a test hole just to make sure, because I could see myself thinking, oh, it's 2 1/8, then put it in there, and it's not. But it is, although 2 1/8 is just barely small enough, but it seems to fit in there, right? So just trying to get myself set up for success and reduce the chances of errors that make me yell. And the other challenge I found is that there's holes in here. Looks like you could screw it down, but they're all tiny. Like you can't fit a drywall screw there. This is a trim screw, and it still won't fit through those holes. So I'm not sure what kind of sizes they expect you to put in this, and I suppose I could drill the holes out more, but I don't know if I really want to do that either, because who knows what'll happen. So I'm going to have to figure that out. Alright, so we got this little screw in the back. It's not really long. You kind of hold this backer to hold it in place, and so again, I got kind of a double-sided wall there, so this might be an adventure. This is well, we'll see. We'll see how smart I'm getting. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. My smart thing, my attempt at a smart thing. So I've got the wall here, and I've got the inside wall of the closet. And I've got this spot that kind of goes down there. And I'd say I've got more than a 50% chance odd of dropping this bracket right down in there. So I tied some fishing line to it with an improved cinch knot. And I put another little drywall screw in that closet that I can hook this through. So in case I do drop it, which odds are good, at least I won't have to take out boards or drill to the bottom to retrieve it. So All right, let's see how this goes. I'm gonna snake this through there like that. That goes all the way through. Like that. And then we gotta figure out how to snake this through the wall on the other side and bolt it on with this little wing nut. I have a feeling this is not going to be super fun. It's impossible to come up with something to tie this wing nut on there. The odds of me dropping that, probably pretty good. Be very careful. I think I got it. All right, we're definitely going to do some tightening up of the wires, but we've got the B post from the shunt going to the negative of the battery. We've got the ground return coming into the P lug nut, and then we've got the power lead into that little tiny green box there, like I said, that little tiny wire, and that's going to the positive lug of the battery. And that's it. And then just sort of plug this in, which plugged into the actual monitor, and now we actually got to program the monitor. Okay, I got my directions on the computer because it's the only thing I can read. Alright, it says check whether display current is equal. What do we got for current over here? Voltage is 13.25 volts. That's probably about right because that battery is fully charged. That's good. So then it says capacity reset on first use, percentage and capacity, not the actual value, should reset the capacity. The discharge, so we got to hold, if it's completely discharged, then you hold this key over here for 3 seconds, but it's not, it's full. So if the battery is fully, hold this key for 3 seconds to set it for 100%. 1, 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000. Okay, so push this right hand button, hold it for 3 seconds, and then set the percentage, and since the battery is full, I set it at 100%, and then push the left hand button to hold that for 3 seconds and set the amp hour capacity, which for my battery, again, it's a only small one, it's 120 amp hours. So right now I'm using 0.91 amps, I guess, so I get the lights on. I turn the lights off and it drops down to 0.028 amps. Who knows what's running that? 100% and running at 12.89 volts, and battery's at 100%. So that's good. And also, if we go over to, let's see, go over to here. Where are we here? Turn the lights back on. You can see this little triangle here. It dropped down, so it means we're drawing that right now. If I go plug in, let's go see what happens. Alright, so we plugged in, and now that triangle changed to a plus. I mean, stuff's coming in, and I guess we're charging at, I don't know, 2.5 amps. Voltage is at 13.6869 and 100%, so don't really need to charge. Alright, so there you have it. There's the battery monitor install. I'll put a link in the description of this particular model. I don't want to spend $200 on a Victron because my system is way simpler than that necessitates. I can't speak today. And I didn't really want the super cheap one either. I wanted to be able to, protect the batteries as much as I can. Not that they're super expensive, but I don't want to be throwing money away and just drawing them down way too far. So just let us know when we can plug in or turn the generator on or get the batteries. Just want to kind of keep an eye on the batteries now that we're going to be traveling more and making sure that we keep those batteries happy. Alright, so again, any questions, post them in the comments. Like, subscribe, do those things that you do, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.